It's the Visible Ghoul and
Professor Verga.
And tonight
we will resume momentarily. Okay, that's yours. There we go.
I'm working on it. Kid. Oh, where are we at? Okay. Alright. Okay, shall we do this again? Whoop.
Hey everybody, it's the Visible Ghoul and
Professor Vertigas!
And tonight we're reviewing Halloween 1 and Halloween 2.
So, before we get talking about our review, I want to talk for a second about how the world has changed. You're already bored with me, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, some of you folks, you might remember back in the day when something would be broadcast on television, it would be edited for television. Meaning all the gore and anything else that maybe a youngin' shouldn't see was already taken out, right?
So it doesn't give them much nightmares.
Nightmares or inappropriate content. And, one thing that I do miss from those days in our modern world of streaming content is being able to introduce horror to younger people with that already taken care of. That's how a lot of us...
So kids can watch them alone.
Well, not necessarily alone, Ghoul, but just so that, you didn't have to be quite as vigilant about what you were watching, and you could still get the scare factor and the thrill of watching something without having to worry about some of that content.
And your dad's scaring somebody.
Who's your dad? Oh, yeah, whoever that guy is. I have no idea who that would be, all right? So, when we decided that, Ghoul was going to go ahead and give Halloween a try, that was something that I thought about.
I liked it.
And you did. And, well, one thing...
Except for the clown mask. That's creepy.
That was creepy? One of the things about Halloween is that very little gore is shown on screen. There's not a lot of blood, especially in Halloween 1. There are some spots where we cover eyes and whatnot. But it's always interesting to view just how these things are different now in the modern era versus when folks like the Professor were a kid. So, with that said, let's talk about Halloween 1, 1978. Do you remember who it was directed by any chance?
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter! Not his first movie, his first foray into horror, though, and just such an incredible piece of work. So, Ghoul, what happens in Halloween?
There's a kid. Kills his sister through the year. He goes on a murderous rampage. But before you tell your kids you can watch them, tell them that Michael Myers doesn't hurt kids.
That is one thing that we did take into...
Not as the big three of the horror kid people.
Hurt little ones, right?
Right.
And that was something we talked about while watching this was, Michael,
I got creeped out. He told me that.
And then you were A-okay, right?
Yeah.
So, we all know the story. Michael Myers kills his sister when he's a little boy. He goes to Smith's Grove Sanitarium for a number of years. Who was his doctor at Smith's Grove?
Dr. Loomis.
Dr. Sam Loomis, played by the great Donald Pleasence. Now, a little known fact is that John Carpenter originally was hoping to get Christopher Lee to play Dr. Loomis. And Christopher Lee has stated that that's one of the roles he regrets not taking. But Donald Pleasence does such an incredible job in this movie. Just great actor, great performance. So, Michael comes back to Haddonfield, and who does he go after? Laurie Strode, played by the wonderful Jamie Lee Curtis. As she earns her title as a screen queen, she would go on to be in films like Prom Night and Terror Train, playing up that role. Those are ones that you're not quite ready for yet.
One of them's in Creepshow.
One of them's in Creepshow?
Yeah, that one episode you watched.
Oh, they do show some scenes from that, don't they?
Yeah.
Yep. So, great performances by everybody in this movie. All of the main characters. We're not going to get into too much of that. But, what was, in your opinion, the scariest part about Halloween 1, Ghoul?
It's just, scary.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole point of Halloween 1.
Some kids might get a little bored for it.
Because it's what we call a slow burn, right? there's a building of tension and creepiness and atmosphere throughout the whole movie, because not a lot happens in the first 40 minutes or so, is it? It's just, he's in the shadows.
A lot of talk, talk, talk.
Yep, a lot of talk, talk, talk. He's in the shadows. You know he's there, but you don't know when he's going to do something. And compared
You try to scare your dad.
You try to scare your dad.
If he got you.
You know. Now, compared to a lot of slasher films that would come later, the count of casualty is pretty low in Halloween 1. Do you remember what it was? How many people?
5.
Only 5. Judith Myers, the truck driver, Annie, Linda, and Bob. And that's it. So at the end of the movie, right, Laurie is trying to escape. She gets Tommy and Lindsay out of the house, right? Michael's still coming after her. For that one moment, she unmasks him. And, there's multiple people who played Michael Myers, even in the first film. Deborah Hill played him in one scene. Nick Castle, famous for playing him in a lot of the scenes. But when he is unmasked for that one moment, he is portrayed by Tony Moran. We have one of our pops here signed by Tony Moran. Met him at Days of the Dead last year. A lot of different fan opinion about him, but I have to say that in my interaction with him, he was very sweet. He was a very nice guy. So take that as you will. So she pulls the mask off. Who comes running up the stairs to save her?
Dr. Loomis.
And what does Dr. Loomis do to Michael Myers?
I shot him 6 times. 6 times!
He shoots him 6 times. And what happens to Michael? He falls out the balcony. Boom. They walk over and they look. And is he there anymore? He's
Dr. Loomis looks on the balcony. Michael Myers, it only shows a grass print of his blood.
He's gone.
And a slight bit of blood.
And what does Laurie say? Was that the boogeyman? And as a matter of fact,
It was.
it was. Which leads us right into the opening for Halloween.
True.
Comes out a few years later after a number of other slasher films have come out now, kind of taking that ball and run with it. So you'll notice in Halloween 2, 1, there is a higher casualty count. 2, there is a bit more blood and gore. And 3, it's a little bit more mean-spirited than the second one, or than the first one. But we start opening on the exact same evening with Laurie being choked by Michael Myers, and Dr. Loomis runs upstairs. And what does Dr. Loomis do to Michael Myers?
6 times.
But is it 6?
They did something not too good.
They edited it incorrectly, and he shoots him 7 times in the beginning
It's
of
something
Halloween 2.
that wasn't supposed to make the cut.
It wasn't supposed to make the cut. And it's right after he shoots him 7 times that Michael Myers runs down the stairs to Chief Bracken and tells him that he shot him 6 times. 6 times! So, bad editing right there. So what's happening in Halloween 2, Ghoul?
He's still going after Laurie.
And where's Laurie now?
The hospital.
She's at the hospital,
She sprained
right?
her ankle also.
Yep.
And got cut on the arm.
Yep, she busted herself up, so they take her to the hospital, and now Michael is stalking through the hospital, taking care of the nurse staff and the ambulance drivers and the doctors.
I forgot that he doesn't hurt kids, and for some reason I thought he was going to hurt the babies in the nursery.
Yep, that was a little bit of a scary scene, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He was just in the nursery and the babies looking at the person with just like...
Yep, but he didn't do anything bad there. So, in this movie, and this was something that John Carpenter was against, we find out why Michael is going after Laurie. Why is he going after Laurie?
Laurie is his sister because the Myers family adopted her.
Yeah, well, she was Myers. The Strode family adopted her after the Myers family was killed in a car accident. So he's coming after his sister, and there's a lot of exposition about Samhain, the Festival of the Dead, the pagan festival, Celtic Festival of the Dead, which is kind of not where a lot of the bad connotations about that first occur, but it's one of the first times you really see it in film. And it is important to note that it is properly pronounced Samhain, not Samhain. But Dr. Loomis, again, chewing the scenery, doing such a great job. Michael looks especially creepy in this one, right? And our our casualty count doubles. How many people pass away in Halloween 2?
10.
10
And
people.
1, he looks like Michael Myers, he had the same mask, except it had blonde hair.
Yep.
But he thought it was Michael. And so he kind of shot a tire and it ran into the kid, and a car accident started going on fire.
Up in flames. Now it's implied throughout later in the film that the poor kid who got killed right there was actually Ben Tramer, which is the girl that Laurie had a crush on and was going to go to the dance with, which is kind of sad if that was actually him.
For Laurie.
For Laurie. Well, and for Ben too. I mean, he got hit by a car.
Yeah.
So now of the two, which one did you like better, Ghoul?
I like the second one.
You liked the second one better. And tell me why you liked the second one better.
It was just the first one, it wasn't that creepy, so I kind of got a little bored with it. But the second one, it was creepy, and I got to get revenge on the professor.
Oh, yes, because he did get me with a jump scare in Halloween 2. So he was quite happy about that.
And Halloween 1.
Yeah. Now, but you also stated that, at the ending of Halloween 2, when Michael is there trying to get Laurie and Dr. Loomis, and they turn on all the oxygen in the room, and Dr. Loomis sacrifices himself to save Laurie. You said that was one thing you really liked.
Yeah.
You thought that was an honorable way to go about it. So Halloween 1.
Our hero of horror for this,
Oh.
Dr. Loomis.
Dr. Sam Loomis, we salute you for being the hero of horror.
We salute you.
Not that Laurie doesn't get some props for making it through the film, but, it really was, Laurie still is playing a victim. This was still the era where the final girl doesn't necessarily stop the villain. There's still somebody coming in to help her. Something that would start to change more with, honestly, the Friday the 13th movies. They don't get a lot of credit for that, but, there's no detective in the Friday the 13th films who comes in and saves the final girl. Usually, it's her doing it herself, and that's something that is forgotten a lot. But, so out of 5 skulls, how many skulls would you give Halloween 1?
4.
4. I give it 5. I do prefer the first one to the second one, partially because of John Carpenter's direction versus Rick Rosenthal's direction. Now, Halloween 2, 5 skulls. How many would you give it?
5.
And I would give it 4. It's still a good sequel. It does a good job of trying to keep the themes of the first one, and it feels relatively natural, and he thinks I'm cuckoo. Alright, so that's our review of Halloween 1 and 2.
Soon to be 3.
Yep, well, we're going to wait a little bit before you get into Halloween 3. Halloween has a special place in my heart. It was the first horror movie I ever remember seeing on television, actually. And it's a great film for me. And I thought it would be a good introduction to that era of films for the Ghoul because of the restraint shown in it compared to some other films. Fun little fact, we'll end on this fun little fact. When Halloween was released to television, because of its runtime, there were a number of scenes that were inserted back into the film that were not shown in the theatrical cut. So the version that I owned for a long, long time, I taped off of television, Channel 17 in Philadelphia. And I watched that thing so many times I had it memorized. So imagine my surprise the first time I go buy a VHS copy, a true VHS copy of Halloween, not one taped off TV myself, and I find all these scenes are missing. I did not realize at the time that they had extended the cut for television. So you can get this extended cut called the TV version sometimes on DVD. It's harder to find, but it is still out there. But one very important scene in that movie, the TV version that is not in the main version, they reveal the middle name of Michael Myers. So if anybody has watched all the way to the end of our video, which I know most people don't, but if you reply in the comments...
Please do if you're watching this.
Yep. If you reply in the comments with the name, the first person to reply with Michael Myers' middle name in our comments, you're going to get a gift package from Professor and the Ghoul. So, click like.
And a shout out.
And a shout out. Click like. Click
Hit subscribe. Ring that bell so you get notified every time we upload.
And we'll be back with you in another week or two with another review. Thank you for watching, everybody. Take care. Good job, buddy.